Hey, this is Michael Lindsay from Vital MX. We're down at Chaparral Motorsports today, and we're going to go over something that's fairly easy, but quite a few people probably don't know about. In the day of electric start, it should be as easy as just pressing the button on your bike to get going, but with the latest Honda 450s, 250s, whether it's their R, RX model, X's, they all have a safety switch that requires you to pull in the clutch perch to start the bike. Any of you that have the bike probably know about this. There is a really easy way to get around this in the same way that the race team actually uses. So we're going to show you how quickly it is to do this, so you can either just start your bike whenever you want or even have the option of switching to an aftermarket clutch perch. The tools you're going to need for this project are actually fairly minor. You can pretty much get away with an 8mm T-handle to take the radiator shroud off, and you might need a set of needle nose pliers to work with the electrical connectors, but you might also be able to do them just by hand. So what I see a lot of consumers doing is following this wiring coming out of the clutch perch. They see it disappears behind the front number plate and they go ahead and cut it and solder it together. Now if you were to just follow it a little bit farther, you discover it goes behind the front number plate, down the side of the frame, and it actually goes into a rubber boot area with a few other connectors right here behind the left-hand radiator shroud. So to access these connectors and do our work, all you have to do is take off the 3 bolts for the left-hand radiator shroud to give us the room we need to get into it. If you follow the wiring, you're going to discover it ends up in this little rubber boot connector area, which is kind of containing a few connectors and protecting them from weather, water, just any of the conditions that you'll find. It's pretty easy to access. We just undo the clip here for the zip tie, and then you can free this up and pull the rubber boot area back, which will expose the connectors we're looking to work with. As you can see, we have a main cluster connector and then 2 individuals. These are the 2 we're working with, because all the switch does on the clutch perch when engaged is complete a circuit that sends a signal back down into these wires that tells it that the circuit has been completed. So if we simply unplug the 2 wires coming down from the loom, take the 2 that are existing towards the bike, which are a male and female connector, and plug them together, the circuit is now permanently complete. Anytime you press the starter button, regardless of what gear it's in or if the clutch is pulled in, it will fire because the circuit is now permanently completed. At this point, you can either take these wires, you can pull them up, zip tie them somewhere else, you can even take the clutch perch off and put an aftermarket one on. But the biggest thing you want to do is make sure that you don't get this pinched too tightly and cover it back up with the rubber boot to protect it before putting the zip tie back on and the radiator shroud on. Once you have all the wiring sealed back inside the rubber boot, zip tied to the frame and secured, you can go and place the radiator shroud back on, tying down your 3 bolts, and from there, now you have a bike that'll start under any situation. You can either retain the stock clutch perch, go ahead and take the leftover wiring, maybe zip tie it behind the front number plate and secure it, or you can now swap out that clutch perch for anything on the aftermarket that doesn't have that switch in it. But the biggest thing is now you're ready to rip whenever you want, and if you want to check out more tech tips, stay tuned to vitalmx.com.